Top news: a former Facebook engineering director testified today before the Senate Judiciary Committee that Meta's top executives, including CEO Mark Zuckerberg, ignored his warnings about the danger that platforms like Instagram pose for teens. Some coincidence? A coalition of tech companies, Discord, Google, Meta, Quora, Roblox, Snap, and Twitch, announced today that it has agreed to share signals about potential child predators. Both parties gave opening statements on the first day of Epic Games' long-delayed lawsuit against Google for allegedly exerting a monopolistic degree of control over game developers. According to the information, Kodu has cut the value of its stake in OpenSea from $120 million to $13 million, implying that OpenSea's valuation has plummeted from $13.3 billion in January 2022 to less than $1.4 billion today. Chart decreasing. Massive fundings. Blackor Technologies, an Austin startup whose platform is designed to streamline tasks for accountants and other financial services professionals, raised a $60 million round co-led by Andreessen Horowitz and OKHC FT, with additional participation from General Catalyst, Founders Fund, Khosla Ventures, SV Angel, and PayPal co-founder Max Levchin. Bloomberg has more. Enable, a 7-year-old San Francisco startup whose platform helps companies keep track of B2B rebates, raised a $120 million Series D round at a $1 billion pre-money valuation. The deal was led by Lightspeed Venture Partners, with additional participation from previous investors Menlo Ventures, Norwest Venture Partners, Insight Partners, and Sierra Ventures. The company has raised a total of $276 million. TechCrunch has more. May Mobility, a 6-year-old startup based in Ann Arbor, MI, that is developing self-driving systems for municipal and business customers, raised a $105 million Series D round led by NTT Group, with Toyota Ventures, Aoi Nisei Dowa Insurance Co., State Farm Ventures, BMW Ventures, Cyrus Capital, and Trucks VC also participating. The company has raised a total of $300 million. TechCrunch has more. Refurbed, a 6-year-old Vienna startup that operates a marketplace for refurbished and upgraded electronics, raised a $57 million Series C round co-led by previous investors Evely Growth Partners and C4 Group, with All Iron Venture and Speed Invest also pitching in. Forbes has more. Volante Technologies, a 22-year-old company based in Jersey City, NJ, that provides low-code cloud payment services to 150 banks and other organizations providing financial services, raised a $66 million round in both equity and debt led by 6th Street Growth, with Wavecrest Growth Partners and Wells Fargo Strategic Capital also taking part. TechCrunch has more. ExpressBees, an 8-year-old Indian startup that provides logistics support for financial firms and e-commerce companies, raised an $80 million led by the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan. TechCrunch has more. Big but not crazy big fundings. Cast AI, a 4-year-old Miami startup that helps companies optimize their cloud spend, raised a $35 million Series B round led by Vintage Investment Partners, with Creandom and Uncorrelated Ventures also pitching in. The company has raised a total of $73 million. TechCrunch has more. Curious, a Seattle-based startup that seeks to pay roughly $1 million to $15 million for software companies that generate from $500,000 to $5 million in annual recurring revenue, raised a $16 million round from TTCER Partners, Granite Point Partners, Endurance Search Partners, the Nashton Company, and the Westerly Group. Presumably, it will also be using debt to fund these deals. The WSJ has more. Finkargo, a 2-year-old Bogotá startup whose platform provides SMBs with trade financing and other trade-related services, raised a $20 million Series A round led by QED investors, with Nazca as well as previous investors Quona, Flybridge, Maya, and ONEVC also contributing. FinTech Global has more. Frenetic, an 8-year-old Madrid startup that says it designs and produces high-frequency magnetic components for any device that requires power, raised a $12 million Series A round led by Kibo Ventures, with previous investors 42 Cap, Join Capital, Bankinter, Bonsai, and Big Sur also joining in. Tech.eu has more. El Nutra, a 14-year-old Los Angeles company that develops nutritional programs to counter the aging process, raised a $47 million first tranche of its Series D round. Brentwood Associates and Moderna CEO Stefan Bancel co-led the deal. Needed, a 6-year-old Los Angeles startup that sells perinatal supplements for women, raised a $14 million round led by The Craftery, with previous investors C Ventures and Crescent Ridge Partners also anteing up. Komodo, an Italian startup that provides BNPL services to retailers, raised a $36.8 million pre-seed round led by Fasanara Capital, with Exor Ventures, Proximity Capital, Ithaca Investment, Lumen Ventures, The Tech Shop, Primo Ventures, Notion Capital, Octopus Ventures, and Plug and Play also piling on. What even is a $36.8 million pre-seed round? Silicon Canals has more. Thales Renewables, a 2-year-old Austin startup that develops sustainably produced ammonia for commercial use, raised a $22 million Series A round co-led by Material Impact and Zora Innovation, with Cavallo Ventures and Rice Investment Group also stepping up. Renewables now has more. Smaller fundings. Biomics, a 2-year-old Danish startup that develops all-natural microbial products that it claims can help farmers achieve a better yield with fewer chemicals and emissions, raised a $6.7 million round led by West Hill Capital, with previous investors Pre-Seed Ventures, Planetary Impact Ventures, and HBL Invest also opting in. Arctic startup has more. BioFi, a 4-year-old Philadelphia startup that uses AI to provide quantitative metrics regarding the success of drugs in clinical trials, raised a $4.5 million pre-seed round led by Medodora Ventures, with Otter Capital and TRCM also participating. Technical.ly has more. Daytona, a New York startup that aims to provide an easy way for developers to spin up standardized development environments on their company's cloud infrastructure, raised a $2 million pre-seed round led by 500, with Tiny.vc, Silicon Gardens, Darkmode VC, and Firestreak Ventures also dealing in. Do, a London startup that is building an international payment platform using blockchain protocols, raised a $3.3 million round co-led by Semantic and Fabric Ventures, and including Block Tower, Speed Invest, Polymorphic Capital, and Discovery Ventures. The Block has more. Fibmold, a 1-year-old Indian startup that creates eco-friendly, molded fiber packaging products that mimic the functionality of rigid plastics, raised a $10 million round. Omnivore and Excelco led the deal. Outlook startup has more. Redex, a 5-year-old Singapore startup that provides a trading platform for renewable energy certificates, raised a $10 million Series A. Aramco Ventures was the lead investor. Reuters has more. ReturnGo, a 3-year-old Tel Aviv startup that helps e-commerce clients like merchants selling on Amazon, raised a $4.8 million round. Trestle Partners was the deal lead. The company has raised a total of $11.3 million. TechCrunch has more. Risk Ledger, a 3-year-old London startup that helps customers monitor the security of their supply chains, raised a $7.8 million Series A round led by Mercia Ventures, with additional funds provided by Seedcamp, First Minute Capital, Episode 1, Village Global, and Lifeline Ventures. The company has raised a total of $12 million. Forbes has more. Sift, a 1-year-old Los Angeles startup whose telemetry software helps companies collect, store, analyze, and visualize machine data, raised a $7.5 million round co-led by Riot Ventures and Fika Ventures, with First Resonance, Datum, and Duro also investing. TechCrunch has more. Sock, a 1-year-old San Francisco startup that has created a mobile investing app for casual crypto investors, raised a $2.8 million seed round led by Haven Ventures, with additional capital supplied by Designer Fund, Expansion, SpaceGadget Ventures, Sunflower Fund, and Olive Capital. Superhog, a 4-year-old British startup that helps property managers minimize risk and disruptions in short-term rentals, raised a $6.7 million Series A round co-led by 6 Degrees Capital, Hambro Perks, and Solano Partners. Focuswire has more. Tivaret, a 4-year-old Frankfurt startup that is focused on improving the sustainability of metal manufacturing, raised a $6.9 million Series A round led by Momenta, Futury Capital, and 4Impact Capital, with participation from previous investor Matterwave Ventures. Carbon Herald has more. New funds. IBM has launched a new $500 million fund called the Enterprise AI Venture Fund that will be focused on investing in enterprise AI startups across all stages. There's a new venture fund focused on Southern Europe, founded by Glovo founders Oscar Pierre and Sacha Michaud, along with former Atomico investor Adam Lasry. Yellow is launching with €30 million in capital commitments to write pre-seed checks. TechCrunch has more. KKR, the private equity giant, says it has raised $2.8 billion for its second global impact fund. This is separate from the multi-billion-dollar KKR fund we told you about last month. Going public. Bloomberg is reporting that stablecoin issuer Circle Internet is considering going public. Last year, it tried and failed to go public via a blank check deal. Circle's investors include Goldman Sachs, General Catalyst, and BlackRock. People, Barack Obama on the future of AI, free speech, and the internet. Apparently, a lot of people are willing to let Elon Musk's Neuralink chip live rent-free in their brain. According to Puck, OpenAI chief Sam Altman is at least a little intrigued by Dean Phillips, the Minnesota congressman who last week kicked off a long-shot challenge to President Joe Biden. Altman reportedly met with Phillips for an hour last week at Altman's home in San Francisco's Russian Hill neighborhood, and he's reportedly intrigued. Sam is very worried that Trump is going to get elected. That's where he's coming from, says this puck source. Has WeWork's demise permanently ruined Masayoshi Son's reputation as an investor? A SWAT Damodaran, a professor at New York University's Stern School of Business, tells Bloomberg, you can recover from mistakes, but how do you recover from the perception that you don't know what you're doing? Essential reads, Rivian vans are no longer an Amazon exclusive. Google Bard has introduced a new feature, Human Review, sparking privacy concerns over conversation monitoring. The Actors Union and the major studios may have finally reached an agreement on AI and the way that the studios use scans of actors. Studios may no longer use scans of deceased performers without the consent of their estate or SAG-AFTRA. Detours, orcas sink another yacht. All in good fun, say experts. If you're thinking about getting a Tesla Cybertruck, you might want to think again. Antidepressants or Tolkien, retail therapy, an AI toothbrush from Oral-B. Book a room on Necker Island, a 1970 Chevy Suburban that runs 7 figures.